Wow! What's happening, everybody?
Here we
Yes,
are.
sir. We back. We back. We back. How is everybody doing? Y'all know we live. We live. We live. Hey, listen. You may not know where you are. You may not know what you're doing, but right now you're listening to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. I am here, your host, and I got one of my most powerful sisters on the phone with me today. Listen, I'm gonna talk all kind of madness with her today. Y'all get a chance to listen to one of our conversations, brother sister conversation. It's gonna be off the charts. It's none other than she don't like for me to say and call her doctor, but today I'm calling her doctor, doctor, doctor. She didn't work hard for it, y'all. So listen, before I get into talking with Dr. DeBarros, I want to say this: with all of the social media platforms we have, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, it's not called Twitter anymore, huh? X, Instagram, and of course the YouTube channel. Go there, like, subscribe, comment, share, forward. But right now, I want you guys to do this. Text somebody, tell somebody, call somebody, whatever you got to do, and let them know we're live right now on One Voice Radio with Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. Yes, I'm speeding through all of that because I want y'all to get every ounce of this young lady, every part of her being, every part of her everything that she's going to share with you guys today. She has an incredible story, but she's also a powerhouse. She literally, as I like to say, we started from the bottom, now we here. We did
Hmm.
some. It's amazing what she has done and accomplished and overcame through her life, but the impact and the power that she continues to share with other people, young people, old people, middle people, and then people like me who just sometimes, y'all just pray for your boy. So y'all do me a favor. Welcome to Let's Talk for the first time, but definitely not the last time. My sister, my girl, my friend, Dr. Jennifer DeBarros. Jennifer, what's good?
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And I am so grateful for the opportunity to have this conversation with you and all of those who are tuned in to share my story or whatever wisdom or knowledge and experience that I could share.
Don't get nervous on me now. Don't do that.
I'm not nervous.
Oh, we no telling for y'all that's listening, no telling what Jen and I are gonna talk about. We both are Virgos, so you don't know what's gonna come out of our mouth. Wait, before I get into talking, I see you got a black. What's in your background? You got a. Is that your mentor, your brother, your uncle, your
Yes,
cousin?
that is Gerald Stanley Ribeiro, actually. It's
What's
his
wait,
middle
wait, what's his
name.
name? What's his middle name? What's his middle name?
Gerald Stanley Ribeiro. As I was sitting here, I was like, oh, his picture's here. And I always call him in. He is an ancestor, and he was, someone who was very instrumental in my transformation, and how I became, involved on this trajectory in my life. I always say, statistically, they say it takes one adult to really transform a young person's life. And it's true. It's a testament. I'm a testament to that. He is the one person as a young person who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself and was willing to invest the time, care, and energy in who I was to help me. He used to say, transform from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So as I was sitting there, I was like, let me bring Gerald into this space because he's always integral to my story.
That's powerful to have your mentor sitting there with you. For those that's not on YouTube as of yet, y'all need to go to the YouTube channel and you guys will see what we're talking about. But that being said, all right, so I'm trying to act like I don't know you, right? So I gotta put that in there and try to make I ask these questions. So first and foremost, you talk about your mentor and you talk about how he has, helped you and allowed you to come from the cocoon to being a butterfly and to fly to heights we probably never thought about.
Hmm.
Now that you are here, can you share with us, first of all, to the family, who is Jennifer? Who is Dr. Jennifer DeBarros? Who is this young lady?
Um, I am mother. I am grandmother. I am sister. I am daughter. I am educator. I am I would say trying to be a healer as much as I can, trying to help others heal. I am, let's see, a New Bedfordite. I like to say I'm born and raised in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which is
Yeah.
southeastern Mass. And I always say that with a bittersweet, where a small city with big city problems sometimes. But I think what I
Mm-hmm.
love about where I'm from is we are a city of rich radical traditions. We come from
Okay.
abolitionist history. So Paul Cuffey was one of the first Pan-Africanists who had a boat that brought people to Sierra Leone back in the 1800s. He was a self-made half Wampanoag, half African, born free. I think his father was enslaved, but we had those roots here around abolition. And then Frederick Douglass came here shortly after, escaping slavery, and found a Quaker community, and a community that he described as, the African folks being better off than the slaveholder in the South. So this city has a very rich history and tradition in abolition, as well as a history of a chapter of the Black Panther Party during the uprisings of the 70s, and a real strong, community movement that I'm really proud, to be part of that legacy. So Gerald was actually a Black Panther in his, young days, and,
Uh-huh.
imparted a lot of that knowledge and history onto me. But also knowing there are other elders in the community, like Jabril Kazan, who was one of the Greensboro Four. He's a big part of our history here too. So I always like to mention New Bedford because it's really, part of who I am, and all of who I am. So as much as I am, those things I described, all of those identities come with struggle and adversity and barriers. So that's part of, sometimes we're born, the zip code that we're born in, creates a lot of barriers sometimes. But I think
Yes.
there's also a lot of richness that comes with that adversity and strength. So that's why I say
I,
bittersweet.
I totally agree. In there, as you started to articulate who you were, you said a healer. And before we get even into any kind of other what do you mean by healer? Talk to me about you being a healer. I'm trying not to go into our personal conversation, but just
I
what do
know,
you
I
mean
know.
by
We should have
yeah?
recorded that one.
I know,
Um,
right?
so I was going through a very tough time in my life, and I decided, actually, I think, life is just full of divine intervention, right? So a lot of times when you need things, they come. So I was going through a really tough situation, and I wanted to get into therapy, and the therapist had a waiting list, and I met this woman while I was doing some work who was a life coach. So she said, I would like to take you on pro bono, after she heard about my story. And in that work, we came up with the conclusion that my purpose is to be the spark that ignites minds and warms souls.
Okay,
So as
okay,
we
okay, big
spoke,
timer.
and a lot of that is grounded in values, right? And I think I really
Hmm.
try to embody the values. It's one thing to talk about what we value. It's one thing to do things in alignment with the values, but to really embody that. And I think that's something that we talked about in terms of my spirit and what I offer. I try to be really grounded in love, and whether that's through hugs, whether that's through a push. Love comes in many different forms. So I
Right.
think ultimately love is my source, it's my way, it's my truth. And I think when I talk about healing, that's where we start healing, right? And I don't
Yes.
proclaim to be a healed person, because I don't see that as, we talked about this linear thing. It's ever evolving, ever changing, and if we're not growing, we're not really living. So it's like, I hope that people feel better. I always have this thing: leave it better than how you found it, leave them better than how
Absolutely.
you found them. So that's kind of how I move. And that's where I say healer. I'm not talking about I'm gonna do Reiki or massage, although those are things, healing arts, that I am intrigued by. yoga especially too, but I think that it's really about who you are, what you embody, and what kind of energy that you're offering, then allowing others to do the same.
So when you talk about healing, and I think a lot of people don't understand, the bigger concept of what you're saying overall, but I want to kind of pull back the curtain just a tad. And people may not know your story, but you went from dropout to doctor. Who does that?
GED to PhD,
Who
gotta
does
make it
that?
rhyme.
Who
Who
does
does that?
that? Who does
So,
that? And then you didn't do it with anybody. You went to Dartmouth. So then you're a brainiac. So how you just wasn't paying attention in school when you was younger. I'm shame on you.
nope, that's not the story.
So
So
tell us about that, Jen, and then we get into some deeper parts of it.
for sure, I grew up in public housing, and then subsidized housing. So my mom had me when she was 18 years old. And she spent a lot of time working and, out of the house. So there's a lot of time in my life where, I had to also take care of my sister who was, has cerebral palsy, was born with cerebral palsy. My mom was working a lot. Father not really in the picture as I was growing up. So I think that I was a young person who became adultified, and also suffering with a lot of abandonment and neglect, and also alcoholism, in the family. So with that came a lot of looking for love in all the wrong places, came with a lot of self-destructive behavior, trying to find a sense of belonging, and also really what I've realized as I've gotten older is a lack of love or knowledge of self. And I
Oh,
think, when that happens, you tend to put yourself at risk as a young person. And that's something that I became very passionate about because I understand how pivotal it is, to have someone in your life as a young person to help guide you, and validate you and hold you up. But that I ended up, becoming pregnant and having my son at 15 years old. And, as much as I liked being in school, I was AB honor roll, level 4, not AB honor roll, I was in level 4s, which is like the higher levels, in terms of
mhm.
classwork. The problems were getting to school, so tardiness, absentees, because a lot of the
Right.
stuff going on at home. So it was when I became pregnant that they put me in a pregnant and parenting teen program that was heavily under-resourced. So I was very academically challenged, and when I transitioned to this school, it had the same curriculum every year. I was loving it because my son could come to school with me and be down the hall. But I wasn't being, academically challenged. So when I went there my sophomore year and finished and came back junior year, they repeated the same curriculum. So I decided I was going to drop out and get my GED because it seemed like a quicker, and more beneficial way to get my education, instead of
Makes sense.
doing the traditional thing. I do say that I graduated high school because I was in my mom's belly, when she
That's right.
graduated from high school. So I did attend a high school graduation. But that
You did.
that is how, that story began. In terms of the dropping out, it wasn't like, you know, me just, not really being engaged in school. I'm a learner. Right now, I'm a curious person. I love learning. I'm always intrigued. My bachelor's is in sociology, so I love, connecting with
Right.
people and learning from people. So that's always been a curiosity of mine, is learning. Schooling is a different thing than learning. But that's kind of how I became on this journey. And when I had my son, I decided that having a GED was not enough. And I ended up enrolling in the community college here, Bristol Community College, before my class graduated from high school, because I was not
Oh
trying to
wow.
have him, bear the brunt of the choices that I made. So he was really, really the catalyst for that.
That's very forward thinking because most people they don't really care about um any of those other things. But what they really care about is just, okay, hey, this is what it is, and I'm gonna just fall by the wayside. But I think you took the bull by the horns and just ran with it and say, you know what? Let's get it. Let's go. Let's make this happen. Let's get it done. Because now you started talking about, and I think this is powerful, destructive behaviors that we did when we were younger. And a lot of people don't really want to talk about those destructive behaviors and then get into we got into, like you said, abandonment and all kind of other challenges with those destructive behaviors. Do you care to share anything on those destructive behaviors, um, from that standpoint, and what
Yeah, I
we
think
where we are and what we are doing?
Yeah, I think that I see my son as really saving my life because I think I was on a path that could have ended up um, different from where I am right now today. When I say destructive behaviors, I could start with the body, not loving the body, right? Putting the body at
Hmm.
risk, unprotected sex, smoking, drinking heavily, really, uh, not caring about my health. I had really bad asthma as a kid growing up,
Hold
and
on,
I would
stop,
be
pause. Wait, stop, pause.
you
If
too.
family, the family. Wait a second. Wait. You said you had bad acne or
No,
bad skin?
asthma.
Oh,
Asthma.
bad asthma. I was about to say, wait a second. Hold on. Y'all go look at YouTube. I don't see nothing wrong with your face.
No, 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 no,
Like
no.
it's clear.
Asthma.
Oh,
I was saying
asthma. Okay.
asthma, very like I was hospitalized a lot as a kid. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
but I would be smoking Newports like it was, like like a champ. I would go from the hospital getting a treatment to smoking 10 cigarettes, and this
Oh,
was really,
wow.
really young, that I started smoking cigarettes, like 10 years old,
Oh,
so, I was really hanging with a lot of people who were older than me, some involvement with drugs, holding drugs, picking up drugs out of state, different kinds of things, that I think, a lot of young people could find themselves in. I was lucky not to get caught. But I think, that could have been a whole different story as far as having charges and things like that. I do have a juvenile record, but it wasn't for that. It was for driving without a license and leaving the scene of an accident, blah, blah, blah. So I did have probation, um, as a juvenile, but, I did put myself in a lot of precarious, situations, that could have ended up, and I think another piece is addiction, right? Like,
yeah.
alcoholism and addiction is all around me, and I think that I could have
Really?
easily ended up, on that other side, if my use and alcoholism continued. And I think that's where I'm really grateful for my son coming in because he ultimately gave me the purpose that I was looking for.
Yes.
Everyone was trying to talk me out of this. Jennifer, you're 15, and I thought I knew it all. I got this. I parented everybody else. I babysat everybody's kids. Woof. Like now I think real differently. I don't got any of this. But at the same time, it's like, I didn't want him to go through the suffering that I went through. I didn't want him, to go to the stigmas of, all the food stamps out on the counter and the WIC and the this and the that. Like, I wanted to really break some economic cycles of poverty. I wanted to really try my best at 15, which best isn't what it is today. But I think,
Right.
he was really the push because I felt he didn't ask to be here. But my thing was I wanted somebody to love and that
Yes.
I could love and can love me. And I think that's the cry of a lot of young parents, right? And it's selfish now that I thought in retrospect as I built with young people, as I started doing this for work. And it's like, when you don't love yourself, you have no business being a parent. Because how are
Right.
you going to teach them who you are, first and foremost, and secondly, how to love themselves? So I think I was, very naive with that. However, that love was just enough to get me where I am because I was not trying to, bring him into the situations that I found myself in as a young person.
Clearly, God's hand was on you. because like you said, all of these different crazy positions. We have a mutual friend. We're not gonna get into that, but some of the things that some of the things that I'll just say we've been through, and precarious positions, different things we've done, both things we are not so proud of, but we've done. I want to actually tackle this for a second. Jennifer, what would you tell that young lady, that young mother that finds herself pregnant, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? Just that young mother who made a mistake. It may have been their first time, or it may be their 55th time. We don't know. But in that, where did you pull that strength outside of your son? Where did you pull that strength? What advice? How can we help that young lady or that young man or that parent right now that's actually listening in?
I think that I think the biggest lesson is let others in, right? I feel like you said God had hands on me, right? And I feel like even though I didn't have what I needed from what you would think, where you would think you would get them, I always had people that were there guiding me through some shape, way, or form. So I think like because I went to the parent and teen program, there was a therapist there. So I was introduced to therapy very young. And that was very helpful for me. And in terms of understanding my own, healing and things that I needed to do for myself. But also like when we're young, we think we have it all figured out. And I think the more that I opened up and embraced the wisdom of others, the better off I was, and I think, there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with that. And
Yes.
vulnerability is a big word, right? And it's really being able to expose yourself, right, to things that are not comfortable. So it's like I would say open up to those people that are around you that are really trying to offer something for you,
How,
no
how
matter
do I
how
become
they come. Hmm?
how do I become vulnerable though when nobody was vulnerable to me and no one showed me how to love? I mean, let's be honest. It's not to you, but a lot of people will say that collectively and they say, "Oh yeah, do this," and kind of give that smoke and mirror. But we walk through this. We've been on that side. So how do you find that space to trust? Uh-oh, here's that word. Ooh, trust somebody with your deepest vulnerability. How did you actually build that muscle?
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. It's not like, I think I built it in some ways and I'm still wimpy, wimpy, wimpy in other ways. That muscle's like sagging, like you just took a cast off after 6 months,
Right.
I think, there's different levels to trust. And I think that's where faith comes in, right? It's
Ooh,
like, having hope and faith in that, to trust in the process and trust in the people. Um, and I think it's hard. And I'm not saying to be naive because not everyone is trustworthy,
that's true.
right?
Absolutely.
So it's not like open yourself up and let everyone in because not everyone has good intentions. And it takes consistency, and it takes someone showing up and, being consistent and creating that space to invest in you. That's where you build trust. And again, like, Gerald
Consistency.
was right. Gerald was that for me. I met him when I was 19, and that was my introduction to this work and my passion. And so my son was like 4 years old. Yeah, about 4 years old. And it's like it took me a hard time. Even like there were times that even, before he passed, he would get on me for stuff, like, why didn't you ask for this? Why didn't you? And I still struggle with things like that. It's
Did we just have this
hard,
conversation before we came on air? Y'all can't get in our business like that, but
but I think like it's about, I've been doing a lot of reflection about emotionally unavailable people in
ooh,
our lives, the people that we entrust, to guide us. And
yes.
when we don't have those people emotionally available for us, then we start to get into these dynamics and patterns of, self-sacrifice and low self-worth and putting other people's first and like not being willing to accept help from others and not even creating a standard for people to be even able to enter your life. It's like low threshold, right? Because we get into these patterns of wanting to prove our worth to people because we didn't get that validation when we were coming up. And when I think that, emotionally unavailability is really like creates this cycle. It's just what I'm learning, right? Through parenting, through your children, and then your children and their children. It's just really generational. So just really tapping into what does that mean to be emotionally vulnerable. And it's a lot of like fear of someone throwing in your face or not being able to depend on somebody. And I think, I've been hyper independent. I have been and I continue to be in a lot of ways. And it took, it just became about me and my kids, and having to really do it all.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
So in
I'm
that
grateful
though,
for my tribe though. I do have a tribe that changed, right? Different time and
right.
space, different seasons. But I've always had people, like I said earlier, like there's always an angel or somebody, the person you least expect, the person you least expect that comes through, for you and helps you get to the next level.
Isn't that amazing, right? But inside of that, like you say, you are super hyper independent. And it was like you close ranks. And it was like, listen, we gonna ride this thing until the wheels come off and we gonna
Literally,
make this thing work, right?
literally, because
Inside
there's
of that,
dysfunction in that.
I was
Right.
just gonna ask that. Inside of that, so we hear, so how now do we introduce to having a relationship? I ain't even talking about romantic, but just relationships to come in because we're so closed off. What
Mhm.
how do we do that? What does that look like? Do we, or do we even open up? Because in my opinion, that also leads to some other bad behaviors or some other bad thoughts because it's only you feeding yourself. What do you think?
I think what I'm realizing, and I'm working on this. I think what that will be my life's mission. Honestly, when I get it right, be like out of here into the spirit world.
There you go.
But I think what I'm thinking and what I'm practicing is like the more that I love myself and I build trust in myself and respect for myself, and I'm grounded in that care and honoring who I am, the more I'm going to attract that in others around me, right? So it's like I'm already gonna be in that frequency, right? I'm gonna be tapped
Yes.
into a space where my cup is full and whatever is overflowing, which we kind of talked about this, is it's not making me vulnerable in that sense, right? Because I'm grounded in who I am. I'm standing in my truth. I'm speaking my truth. And the more that I'm in love with myself, the more that I could, navigate these healthy relationships. Um, and
I
and it,
agree.
and it takes work. I think it's, a lot of times it is about checking yourself, right? It's like, hold on, like, is this, a coping mechanism of like the way that you are moving right now and trying to really check it. Because sometimes you can get into these cycles of fight or flight and think the worst of situations. But I think um there's an inner battle going on, it's like between the heart and the mind in the spirit of, like honoring
I
that
think
and
there's a
allowing.
separation challenge too, right? There's a separation because I see clearly from your perspective or you, and I know a little bit more, but from you, I can see God's hand like literally on you, right? But I also think there's a part of you that is kind of difficult to separate. You know, some people come in our lives, what's the saying, for a day and some for the,
Season or
all this other
reason.
stuff, right? Yeah. And I think we have a collective uh, hard time to people that's supposed to be in for a season. We trying to make them lifetime, right? Somebody that you're supposed to see just one day, we trying to make them a season. And I think sometimes when we're trying to separate ourselves, or I should say the creator is trying to separate us and elevate us, we still trying to hold on to wait. But Jimmy was so good to me. You can't leave Jim behind, or well, whoever it may be, right? You just why are you laughing?
No,
Why are
because
you laughing?
I know that other friend of mine is named Jim Jim. It's funny that you said
Oh,
Jim Jim, so I'll just get going.
oh,
Because I
I don't
thought you were gonna say a random name, but nope, it's a name that somebody I know. But Jim Jim
see
is a
we
pretty
already see we already in the spirit. See we already there. Just we already
um
there. But seriously, when we do that, I think sometimes we're trying to hold on to what God is trying to release us from. And because He is trying to release us from those individual things, I think sometimes we try to hold on to those things and it doesn't always work. So I think we have to do a better job of releasing from the past things that are people that was in our area just for, you know, supposed to only be there for a couple of days, and we trying to bring them along for the rest of our life, and it's like they can't, you know, they can't hold that weight. So inside of all of those things,
yeah.
we talk about healing, we talk about destructive behavior, you're talking about being an addict, we talk about all those things. So now what's next for Jen? Where is it for Jen? What is it now for Jen? You're a community activist. You doing stuff with making sure young people are good and healthy. You have great relationships. You're working on yourself. But now what's that next step for Jennifer? What is it that Dr. Jennifer is working on next to, I'll say, to heal the community?
I just think it's kind of backing up to the last thing that we just talked about, is
Uh-huh.
I think growth, and not development, but like really like trying to elevate is a lonely place, right? I think like to get your doctorate, to be who I am and to be in
Right.
a doctorate program is to be an anomaly, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't any, you know, there weren't any seeds planted back as a child that, oh, one day I'm going to be a doctor, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think that one of the things I'm trying to really do is to learn and grow and purge those things that no longer serve. So that's a big priority for me right now because I'm dealing with some health issues now. And I think a lot of it is part of the stress, right? Part of, the side effects of this journey that I've been on, throughout my life. And really trying to um, be okay with letting go, you know? And I think that's what's next, right? As far as for myself, right? And it's like, when I do that, I'm better for everybody else. I'm better for
That's
myself, for
right.
my family, and for my community. So I think that I've been going through a lot of, challenges of growth lately around self-care and not really finding a lot of people on the same page. And not really finding the circles of people who, are on, the kind of path that I'm on. So this has been the
But you're
story of my
special.
life.
But you're special. And I think this is like I think is when you just said that you're special though. You not carrying the same ingredients as other people are carrying. So when you are selected or picked out or whatever you want to say, right? You're different. And because of how we are and because of the way we've grown up and all of those things, I think a lot of times we make sure that we're not being superficial or being more than and walking in that space to say humble. You're very humble, but you also have to understand that you're very special. You're selected for a specific reason. People follow you for a certain purpose. And sometimes, unfortunately, you as a leader, you as someone that people gravitate to, you have to make sure as you are growing up or getting higher, or as you say, elevating, right? as you're growing to those next levels, dimensions, and realms, everybody can't come with you. And you have to embrace where your creator is taking you. And I think sometimes you have a separation challenge. Like, I don't know if I really want to separate from, I'll just use Jim Jim again, right? I don't know if I really want to separate from Jim Jim, but, you know, it's elevating you to somewhere else because I have a saying, how many people blessings are attached to you? If you fail, then how many people behind you fail? If you don't act on the things that the creator is moving you into, then now what? See, you're special. There's very few people that come on the podcast, Let's Talk, that's special, but you have even a higher special specialist or whatever you want to call it, right? And I can see it, but I'm also feeling you don't want to go all in at that next level because it feels a little separation. Now, whether you do or you not, I'm just saying it could be just holding back because live. I get it. 150 countries listening. I get it. Or 170, whatever it is, get it. I got it, right? But where you are is you have to embrace your greatness. You, Jennifer, you're no longer the quote unquote the little chick that what you say smoke 10 Newports a day or whatever it is. You're no longer that person. You are above and
Uh,
beyond that. You are healing people. You are speaking into young people. And you have to now embrace that because guess what? There are other people waiting for you. There are other people waiting for you.
I just have to
Hmm.
be transparent here. Like
Uh-oh.
I don't, this is where we're gonna get spicy, right?
Ooh.
I don't agree that I am special, right? I think
Hmm.
everyone is. Like, I don't feel like I am different from anybody else. I had different opportunities. You know what I mean? I had a mentor that was very powerful. If everyone had mentors, who knows where they would be, right? I
Hmm.
feel, and one of the things he would always say, as long as someone's breathing, they're capable of the impossible, right? So that's kind of the philosophy that I don't really see myself different from the next person. And I know
Hmm.
I hear what you're
Hmm.
saying. I do feel, grateful and I feel blessed to have the opportunities and the skills. And I think that's something I would tell young people is when you have an opportunity, jump on it, right? Because I did take advantage of the elders, the programs, the therapists, the tribe, the supports that some
Right.
people are too prideful, or don't want to take on. And I think I wouldn't be here without the tribe that I had. So I don't think there's anything spectacularly different. I think the circumstances, and I think anyone could achieve what I have achieved, if
But
certain things were
but they
aligned.
haven't.
And
But
that's
they
what,
haven't.
and that's why I try to really put my work towards creating those spaces so other people can have those same opportunities because it's by design
Hmm.
that a majority of people are not able to fulfill their spirit and their full potential and capacity. It's not fair that only a few of us make it. I think there are a lot of things that are keeping people from actualizing that. Let's do it. What you want to do?
Yeah, you're going. Come on, we fight, man. Ooh,
Let's get
ooh,
it.
ooh. Y'all need to go look at YouTube. Y'all have to go look at YouTube. Oh, all right. So
I'm
let
winning.
me see.
By the way, he got a black eye.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So
Non-violence, no
in that,
violence.
Jeff. So here's you say you're not. You don't think you think. Oh, I'm just like everybody else. I disagree. You're special because you did take advantage, but there also was something I would say a higher power also looking out for you. And you chose to take advantage of. Well, a lot of times we talk to with people is, we have free will, right? It's free will. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. Your creator will let you do what it is because you have free will. But you chose to do the things that would empower. Yeah, we did have destructive behaviors, and we did some other stuff. But eventually, like we say, our head, we knock our knuckleheads together, but eventually we got it together and started moving in that direction. That makes you special, sweetheart. You didn't collapse under the weight of all of the demonic spirits and all of the negative activities that's tried to surround you and encamp you to do negative things. Yes, we did dipper and dapper in some things that we're not proud of, but at the same time, you came out to do something better for other people. That makes you special. Now, I understand you want to say, I'm just like everybody else. I get it. Yeah, all of us are still humans. We got that. But you've been selected for a certain point of this. And your greatness, now I'm not saying I'm not gonna ever say all your business on public, but all of the stuff that you have done that I know of, yeah, you're special. You're extremely special. You don't
Thank you.
we gonna argue all day on this one. You do not go from a dropout, pregnant at 15, to have a doctorate degree from Dartmouth. I don't care what nobody says. That's not ordinary. You're not ordinary.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to
No,
stay
I'm
humble,
not
I
ordinary.
get it.
No.
Yeah, you want to stay ordinary. I mean, humble. I got it. You're very humble. We got it. But you're special. All right.
We're all special.
You are. You are. Now, let me
We
say
all
this.
are.
I believe that. I believe that. But you also have to believe you're special. You're
Oh, I
selected to do
am.
something. Okay, all right. That's all I wanted to hear. I won the
I
argument. Now,
just,
you as soon as you said I am, I won. Thank you.
all right, all
God
right.
bless.
There
All
is no
right.
hierarchy here, though. There's no hierarchy here, That's the
No,
thing.
absolutely.
I have power to do things with, and I think there's a difference, between trying to be untouchable or above anybody else. That's
Correct.
that's the piece where I don't prescribe to. But I feel
I,
you.
Now, I wouldn't let you subscribe to that piece because that goes into something way negative, in my opinion. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not who you are. You're nowhere near that, not even close. Listen, I'm gonna do this. There's two things I want to do. I want to open the floor up for you. I want to open the floor up for you, for those young men, those young ladies, those older men, older ladies, seasoned veterans, non-seasoned veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you, because I do this with most of my guests. I'm asking you to share and empower those individuals for the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or whatever, to empower them what's on your heart to help them grow from where they are right this second. And after you speaking, they're going to grow even further. But wherever they are, what's on your heart to help them grow in whatever season that they're in their life? Yep.
I would say I could start it with you are who you've been waiting for. I think that is a trend in this world, in this culture, is to look outside of ourselves, to be holding ourselves to these fake filters and molds of standards of external reflection. No one's coming for you, right? You got to come hard and heavy and rock steady for yourself. And I think, I'm continuing to learn that. I'm continuing to flex that muscle, like I said, wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. I think, I am who I've been waiting for, and I think the same goes for everybody else. I think, and Gerald used to say, it's not the age, it's the stage, right? You could be
Mhm.
12 and
That's
be
right.
wiser than a 50-year-old and vice versa. It's really about tapping into, and I think that's the thing, like we wake up and go to sleep to this inner Noah, this inner being that's always with us. Trust that being, nurture that, and listen to it, right? Like there's a lot of wisdom within ourselves, and I think we have to stop going outside of ourselves to look for guidance and look for validation and worthiness. And I think we have everything we need. at the end of the day, and it comes in many different forms, but it's always there, you know. I always say that I am hip hop, right?
Uh-huh.
Hip hop is like in my DNA. It's my religion. It's my way of being. And I think the reason one of the big tenets of hip hop is creating something from nothing. And how do we, you know, as a people continue to create something from nothing? Like we, as long as we're breathing, can create change. Starting with the way that we think, um, starting with the things that we know, right? So the things that we learn, the things we get exposed to. So I think that's the biggest piece, I think, is stop waiting on others and you know, these detachments and you know of from ourselves and these false attachments to this fake love, fake world, fake book, fake filter, fake everything. You know, like our social relationships have been, yeah, I'm grateful for the childhood that I was able to play outside and play ding dong ditch and stuff like that. But
Right.
I just think our social connections are really flawed, and our lenses are not very clear. So I think go within.
Go with it. Go with it. I love it. Jen, I
Within.
appreciate you.
Appreciate
I
you.
appreciate you. But hold on, before we go, there's one piece you got to do. Now, I know you all sophisticated. I know you doctored up. I know you ran things and you big cheese and big dog. I know you like, uh-oh, where
No
we going with
cheese.
this?
No big cheese.
So, so here's what I want. I'm asking. So you heard me introduce myself at the very beginning of the podcast, and I shouted all my people out in New Orleans. Some of you may not know I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I shouted everybody out. So now it's your turn. You have to shout all my people out in New Orleans. I'm gonna do it first, and then you do it behind me. Don't scratch your head. Get ready.
No, I love New Orleans. I was there with my daughter a few years back. I have this affinity. New Orleans is so special. You want to talk about special? New Orleans is special. It has it's a you just feel the spirit of New Orleans. Like it's not this space or place. It's really like a being. You feel the energy and I just love New Orleans. So big ups to New Orleans and
Uh-huh.
everyone
Yeah.
there. But go ahead, you could kick it off.
All right, you ready? So I'm gonna do it first, and you come behind me. You ready? Now don't mess this up because when you come,
I'm gonna mess this up.
don't
No,
tw-
I'm not. I'm not.
all
I'm being
right,
a
you
good
ready?
student. Yes.
All right. Wow.
What did you say? What'd you say?
You messed it up. I told you was gonna mess.
I know, because I couldn't figure out what you said. What did you
That
say?
was it. That was it.
It was?
Yes.
Why not?
Wow.
Why not?
Oh my God. Ah.
Why Tell me, tell me.
No. It's just wow. This wow.
Why?
Yeah. Oh
Got
my.
you. Got you. It's this technology, man.
I'm gonna blame it on the technology. That's
You
what
would
it is.
sound
The
like
tech.
the ducks in my backyard. I'm just kidding. All right, let's get it. Let's do it again.
All right, you ready? You
Yes.
sure? Oh my
Ready.
God. Shout out to Lady Santos. You owe me for this one.
Love you.
Wow.
Why?
Yay!
I know. I took it the first time, but I'm like, that don't even sound right.
So, all
Well,
right.
thank
So,
you.
Jen, oh, thank you. So, how can everybody get in touch with you if they want you to come speak or, your consultant side speaking or whatever? How can they get in touch with you?
I would say I have Instagram, which is Jedi Love 1, JEDILUV number 1. And I would say email jennifer.e.debarrows@gmail.com.
Well, there you go. I'll just email the show and I'll make sure y'all get to her. How about that?
Yeah,
Either way,
they
let's
got to
go.
go through you. You could be my manager. Just
Oh,
kidding.
there we go. Hey,
Just kidding.
superstar in the making. I love it. All
Too
right,
funny.
family. So listen, I'll see you guys next week. Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate you so, so very much. How you do that? Yeah.
Come
Y'all be
on, get it
making these
together.
hard.
It's a heart. There
Oh,
you
there you
go.
go. See, there you go.
There you go.
All right. I love you, Jen. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next week on Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette.
Peace,
Go to all of the
everyone.
social medias. Thank you, Jen.
Take
Go to
care of
all of the social
yourselves.
medias. Talk with you soon. And we out. See y'all on the beaches of the world. God bless. Peace.